This is the Art and Business of Writing podcast, connecting you with writers and experts who can help to improve and promote your writing. Welcome to the Art and Business of Writing podcast. I'm Chris, the host, and today I bring you Linda Clevenger. Hello, Linda.
Hey, Chris. How are you?
Doing awesome.
Great.
Linda Clevenger is the owner of Organization Direct and focuses on home and office organization. She helps people define what is stopping them from getting organized and then develop steps that effectively allow them to succeed with the elimination of clutter as well as the creation of systems and processes that work for their personalities. Linda, take us beyond the bio and tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Well, thanks. A little bit about me. Oh, gosh. Well, I started Organization Direct back in 2007, but before that, I spent over 20 years in corporate America, doing all kinds of positions because my husband was an active duty Marine. So we retired from the Marine Corps, and I say we, meaning I retired too, 20 years ago. And he served 20. So, that allowed me to travel around a lot and have a variety of different positions where it always seemed that I was the person who was in charge of keeping the office organized. I grew up in a very organized home and the apple didn't fall far, I don't think. But it just, it took me a while to understand that a lot of people are born organized or brought up in that environment, but not everyone is. So that allowed me to develop my business, Organization Direct.
Awesome. Now, personal organization is something that definitely didn't come easy for me. I had to actually learn how to do it. Is it possible for people who really aren't that organized to learn to become organized effectively?
Yes, it is. It takes a lot more work. What it really takes, I believe, is having someone to guide you through the process, to help you think through how to methodically work through processes. If you think about it, when you brush your teeth, it's like a 10-step process, right? You just automatically do it. But if you think about all the steps involved, there are many. And when you're organizing a space, the hardest thing that people struggle with is, where do I even start? So as an organizer, sometimes all I do is help them realize where to start in their space, and then they could take it from there. But ultimately, it's the creation of habits and being able to define a specific place. You've heard everything, a home for everything and everything in a home or everything in its place. And that's really true, because when you know where things go, not just yourself, but everyone in the household can, be responsible for taking action and putting them away.
Now, as a creative person, as a writer, one of the things that I am really kind of guarded about is my personal space. Like, I want to be able to carve out a place for me to write, a place for me to create, but I want to feel connected to it. So how can you help someone who wants to carve out a creative space in their home, develop a place where they feel connected, where they can always be inspired? What tips do you have?
Well, no matter what, I hear this all the time, but it might look like a mess. It might be disorganized, but I know where everything is. However, it does block your creative thinking. And when I work with people, I help them develop their organizing style, because there are actually 4 different organizing styles. Each quadrant of your brain is responsible for the type of style that you use to organize. For instance, there's a maintaining style, there's a harmonizing style, there's an innovating style, and a prioritizing style. So creating your space based on the style of organized, the way your brain organizes, just helps you to create that space that will allow you to, like yourself, Chris, sit down and write and take it away.
All right. Now, you talked about 4 different styles. Can you expound upon each of those a little bit?
Sure. The maintaining style is the person who likes to have everything just maintain, just maintain the area, just, create those habits and, take it to where she could just it's not perfect. That's the other thing I want people to understand is, do not strive for perfection, because it's not worth it. It is really not worth it. The harmonizing style, they kind of like their things color coded. They like things to be in harmony. I'm not one of those persons. I don't care if the color, actually, I do care. I'm not a color person at all, because what happens if I run out of red folders? that can throw off the entire filing system, right? If they don't make those red folders again, I need to redo everything. So harmonizing means you like things to, be colorful, be put together, and, red hanging folder with a red file folder, that type of thing. The innovating style is like more for the creative personality. You want to be innovative in how you organize and how you have your space set up. You might think outside the box. And the prioritizing, that's the CEO, that's the A personality. You got everything, all your ducks in a row. And, a lot of people have multiple personalities at the same time. So when I work with them, we work on identifying which personality is stronger, which one is a little weaker, and how we can incorporate them together. Because here's the thing, Chris, there is absolutely no right or wrong way to organize anything. It all is determined on your style and your personality. So when you think about the organizing industry, it's a billion-dollar industry. The next best, latest and greatest organizing supplies are going to be coming out in September when school comes out, October, and toward the end of the last quarter of the year. It's tax season again, so you need to revamp everything, right? So it's finding a system that works for you, that works for your personality, and allows you to stay organized. It's not about necessarily being pretty. It's not about necessarily being complicated. Actually, simple is better.
I'm glad you said that, the whole idea of simple being better. With regards to a desktop, just kind of my space, how I guess, does clutter play a factor in my ability to be more or less creative? Like how much should I have on my desktop at any given time?
I would say as little as possible. Just have the things that you need available to you, because your desktop and your computer files, think of them as the exact same, a mirror image of your physical filing system. A lot of people have done away with that physical, paper. Don't have to see it, don't have to touch it, because I can find it online. I can find it on my computer, or I can find it, on the internet. But if you can spend just as much time searching for it there as you do would for a physical paper file. So when you're thinking of allowing your creative juices to flow, I would say think minimally. And I have to say that the clients that I've worked with who are artists and writers, and they probably struggle the most with their physical space.
Now, I get that. I get that a lot. Something else.
I'm not calling you out, Chris. I don't know.
Well, something about, like I said, I know for myself and I know other creative people, we're massive note takers. We're always thinking. We always have ideas. So spread about my desk, I know for sure I've got I've got Post-its, I've got napkins, I've got pieces of legal pad paper that I've ripped off where I've got ideas on. And I know that something that you believe in is having a paperless workflow. How do I do that?
One of the best systems that I have found, because you're right, you jot down a note on a Post-it note, and you grab a notebook and you write on one page of that notebook. And I don't know for sure, Chris, but this is what I've seen. Then you grab another notebook. I was just with somebody today and she had 5 lists that she's working from. And, it gets daunting to write all that down and cross it out, even though it feels really good to mark through it and know that you've done it. I actually use a system on my computer and on my phone called Trello. It's Trello. I don't know if you ever heard of it, but I have different boards that I've set up. I have one for my organizing. I have one for my Scrum. I have one for my personal. And I can it's like a giant whiteboard where I can create tasks under that, and I can create lists under that. I can check things off when they're all done. It allows me to be organized and have all those notes and stickies everywhere that I would have physically on the computer. And it's an app that, you can download on your phone as well, so you can have it all handy. Because I don't know about you, Chris, but I always have my phone with me. It's like attached to your hip. You grab your phone before you grab your keys. So yeah, I use Trello, and I also, I use a Scrum method it's an agile method for project management, but it's a system that works if you have projects where other people are involved, and it involves Post-it notes. So what we do is we grab a naked wall, sometimes a door, a wall, a glass window, a whiteboard, and we divide it into 4 equal sections. And the first section is on the left-hand side of the board. It's called the product backlog or your backlog. Those are the list of things that you have to do. And the next section is to do. The next section is doing, and the next section is done. So you take all of your ideas, all of your list of things to do, all of your projects, you break them down, and you write them all down on a sticky note, and they all go on your backlog. And then if you're a visual person, this is really helpful because you can physically see and touch these Post-it notes. So as you make smart choices and decisions about how you're going to prioritize your backlog, you move them over to do, and you identify just a couple that you can do first. Maybe it's that you can do in the morning. And as you do them, you move them over. As you decide that you're going to do them, you move them over to the doing section. And then you work on it. When they're done, they move over to the done. So it's a flow of Post-it notes moving from one section to the other. And you can visually see what it is that you have going on. And as new ideas pop into your head, you add a new Post-it note. It's a system that was originally developed back in 20 years ago. And it was for software development, but it can be applied to any type of project, whether it's home, office. We scrum our household. We scrum just about everything. But it's actually a rugby term.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Have you ever seen the picture of when all the rugby team members have their heads all together in the middle?
Yeah.
And they're brainstorming? That's a scrum.
Oh, that's funny.
I know. Who knew? Because Scrum, the whole purpose of Scrum, if you have an office or a team at the office, like say in project management, everybody's expected to work together, but they don't really. So the whole idea of Scrum is that you are self-organized, you're collaborative, you perform together, and there's no hierarchy. Everybody's position holds the same weight. So there's not any one person who gets to dictate everything. So it's kind of out of the norm compared to regular project management.
That's very cool. And it's also, as a writer, I can see that being very handy. So speaking of that, so let's talk about how I can use the Scrum method to, brainstorm a book from just my ideas to actually physically finishing the book.
Oh, perfect. So I can see you have I want to write a book, right? There's a book in my head. I just haven't gotten it out. It's still in my head. I have to get it out of my head. And so what I would do is, one thing I might write down is I can have multiple backlogs. I would have one backlog that's the title of the book, one backlog that is chapters that could be in the book. And as these ideas come to my head, I just jot them down on that sticky note and I post them up and I put them up there. So I don't have to worry about trying to remember what it was that was the most awesome idea ever. Right. So I put it up there, and as I'm going through, I might not have to worry about the title backlog yet because I'm not ready to title the book yet. But I don't want that to stop me from actually sitting down and writing. So I might pull one chapter titled, meeting your goals, and pull that and put that in the to do. That's the one I'm going to work on first. Now, from that, I can create all my thoughts about that chapter and have them come under, it's called a user story. So my to-do would be a user story, and I'd have all my little, stickies, smaller stickies underneath that. So what I'm doing actually is creating that chapter. And as I'm going through and writing, I can say, okay, I did that, I'm doing that, I've done that, and you just keep moving it over. And before you know it, you have created not just one chapter, but multiple chapters, and that book could be done.
Dude, that's phenomenal.
I mean, it's almost so simple that it's like, duh. Why didn't I think of this before? And, this was just introduced to me about a year ago because I always just thought Post-it notes were like clutter, and they're really not.
No, that's cool because I can see, hypothetically, if I want to write a book on bikes, I can be everything I know about bikes. Maybe it's about maintenance, it's repair, it's, types of bikes, it's frame types, it's seats.
Yeah.
So basically I can put all those things together, like you're saying, and then just, as I move them over, do I put all the like parts, like as kind of subparts? So if I'm doing one on maintenance, then I can put like chain maintenance, how to change a tire, all that. And so all that goes in the center column of doing at the same time. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes. And if you think of like the whole bike, your whole book itself is what we call an epic.
Okay.
It's a big story, right?
Yeah.
So under that epic, I think of epic as the umbrella.
Okay.
So under your epic, you break it down into user stories, and those user stories can be your chapters. One can be how to choose a bike helmet, how to change the tires and how to change the tires in that chapter. The chain, how to choose the bike that's right for you. You can see, and you just jot down all these different, quote, user stories, and that's how you develop your chapters.
What a great, that's a great method to put together a book, because I guess it gets everything out of your head initially, so you're not thinking as you go.
Right. And I know she didn't really call it Scrum, but I know $1 million coach who used nothing but Post-it notes and a system like this to develop her entire business.
Are you serious?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I met her about 4 years ago. Didn't catch on then. I'm a little slow, but it's okay. It really does help you lay things out and think very methodically, because if you have trouble getting organized, a lot of that reason is because you don't know what to put first. Mm-hmm. You get stuck in, a lady just told me this last night. She said, but I have to be perfect. And if I can't be perfect, I don't do anything. So this allows you to step away from perfection and just work on one piece at a time, one section at a time, and then it's the satisfaction of moving everything over to the done list.
Wow. It's funny, like perfection is such a procrastination thing,
Oh, yes.
I was thinking about that today. I was taking a walk and I was like, I think what happens is people mix perfection and excellence. They get those two confused. Mm-hmm. Like, cause you want to be excellent, but it's not about being perfect, but those two get confused. Or like I said before, it just kind of becomes a procrastination tool. Well, if I can say that I'm going to be perfect at something, then I don't have to really move at it, because I'm always working on it.
Right. And that was my conversation last night. Striving for excellence is okay. You want to do the best job that you can, but you have to get out of your own way in order to move forward at all. And I don't know about you, but, the idea of having, let's just say a household, for instance, or a desk, having it perfect, that's too much pressure.
Yeah, it is.
I'm going to have stuff pulled out. I'm going to be working on client files, putting together proposals, working on my Scrum, whatever it is. But it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm not letting anybody down if things aren't 100, if it doesn't look like something in a magazine.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I know that you are a taskmaster when it comes to time.
Well, and the biggest thing that I do is on Sunday evening, I take a look at that calendar and I know exactly what I have for the day or for the week. I know you've heard it before and, but it does work. Planning ahead the evening before so that you know what you have what you have on your schedule will allow you to find more time in your schedule. I just added in a daily AM workout. It's only 30 minutes, but it takes me 20 minutes to get there, 30 minutes to do it, 20 minutes to get home. And I knew what time frame I could schedule that in. It had to be in the morning and it had to be early morning. So 3 days a week it's at 5 a.m. and 2 days a week it's at 6:30. So I know exactly how to plan out my day. My day starts tomorrow at 6 o'clock when I leave, and I'll be home around 4. My day will be done, but I know in advance. And if your day's not quite that structured, I know a lot of people get stuck on, social media. It's the biggest time sucker there is. But if you chunk out a piece of time that you're going to do something, set a timer. On my website for Organization Direct, there's a product called a time timer. And instead of the time, it's a reverse psychology of time. So you actually watch the time tick by. It's red. So if you set it for 30 minutes, you have this red section that disappears and then dings when you're done. It's just reverse psychology. It was developed by an ADD coach, a person who's an expert with ADD. And so time, and this is Scrum, Chris. This is so Scrum. We time box things. So we set a time limit on whatever the project is. So if you're going to sit down and write a blog, my time limit is, you have to be realistic now, because things always take a little bit longer when you're first starting something. I know when I first started writing, I would spend 4 hours writing, editing, posting, and it doesn't take 4 hours anymore. So, but chunking out that time, it's called time boxing, what you need to do. Because if you really take a look at how much time is spent being wasted every day, you'll be surprised.
Yeah, I had that conversation, I think, my very first episode with Clevenger Dixon. He talked about basically, how to reclaim your time. And he's like, I quit my television. That gave me back 2 hours a day, because most Americans spend 4 hours on there watching television. He said, now I've got 2 more hours to add to working in my business, and it's made a big difference.
Oh, yeah.
But I like that idea of kind of time boxing. I mean, I do that when I write. I use a Pomodoro timer, and I'm sure you're familiar with those. 25 minutes, it counts down, but it puts the pressure on me. It forces me to think on my feet. And so I'm actually writing a lot faster, a lot more succinct, and I'm actually getting more done with that method.
And you're concentrating on a goal.
Yes.
You know that you're reaching a goal at the end of that timer. And if you don't happen to finish it, it's okay. But you don't allow that time to come in and interrupt the next thing that's on your list to do.
And I love the idea, like you said, of just the time boxing, of scheduling. Let's walk through a little bit about scheduling, because I think, when we're writers, we have a lot going on. We have to write. Some of us have to blog. Some of us podcast. Some of us are working on books. Some of us are spending time on social media. Like, when do you start the plan for your week, and how far in advance do you plan?
Well, one of the best things, especially for time boxing for social media, is I time box out it's usually about 3 hours a week, but I do all my social media posts in advance. So for Facebook, I can schedule out my posts. I can take a look at my insights and know when's the best time to post. And I go through and I post something for every day. Then I could step away from it. You can use something like Hootsuite for that kind of thing, but also at Works. But for writers, it's really defining, I think, when is the most creative time for you to do it, so that you can get it done in 30 minutes versus an hour and a half. When are you the least distracted? When you think about a product backlog, like we talked about with Scrum, I have found it very helpful when I first started writing, was I just jotted down all those ideas that I wanted to write about. I had an Excel spreadsheet, and I just put them on there. Now it would be, on a Scrum board on a backlog. But because I found that my ideas don't necessarily come to me when I sit down and go, okay, I need an idea.
Right?
It's like, really? Now my brain has gone totally dead. So I don't know. Did I answer your question, or did I get off target?
Oh, no, you're still there. I just want to flesh out kind of the idea, because you talked about scheduling the social media, kind of all in advance in a week, which I think ends up saving you time, because, they say the average user spends 2 to 3 hours a day, and it can suck you in when you're trying to schedule, and then you get caught up looking at cat videos, So.
Oh, yes. Lord knows.
So I like the idea of being able to, I guess, go through and schedule, your Facebook, some of your tweets, I use Buffer for those things.
Yep.
And then being able to schedule that stuff out in advance in order to free up more time to do other things. With regards to, being able to schedule your writing time or other commitments you want to do, how do you recommend guarding time? Because I know, people want to get in there and steal time from you, and it's not something that they do intentionally, but they can wiggle in there. How do you make sure that you're still being a good person in your own mind, not ignoring someone, but still being true to yourself, because, what you're working on does matter.
Right. And you have to be the first person to respect your own time, because not everyone else is going to respect it as much as you do.
Right.
And what I have found extremely helpful is I do not answer my phone.
Ooh.
If someone is calling that really needs me, they will leave a message. And here's another reason that I do that is when they leave a message, I know the reason that they're calling. So when I call them back, and this may sound a little harsh, but when I call them back, I can take control of the conversation.
Not harsh at all. It's practical, actually.
Because but a lot of people are, really? Yeah. So if I have people that are calling me, they'll leave a message. And if they don't, they'll send me a text or whatever. But when I am in that creative space and I have time that's dedicated to, say, my website, because that's something that has to be updated continually. If I have 45 minutes that's blocked out, time boxed to take care of my website, I am not going to answer the phone. Now I have, I will like check and see who it is. And if it's, I have a little one, I have a 7-year-old. So if it's her school calling, I will pick it up then. But anybody else, don't even think I'm picking up the phone because I'm just not, because I've worked with so many people that get so distracted but I have to have my email up and I have to answer the phone. No, you don't. The earth will not end. The earth you won't die if you don't answer an email until 45 minutes later. And it's a hard concept to wrap your head around. But if you continue to let other people manage your time for you, it just gets so frustrating because of the amount of how it slows down your progress.
It's good that you brought that up. I know, you read 4 Hour Workweek, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Like Tim Ferriss, he's just a big proponent of turning off alerts. What are your thoughts on that?
Please do. Please do. Because if you think how many, if you got the Facebook messenger page dings and the email rings and this and that, we've got so many bells and whistles that are going off in our head and our ears all the time. That's how he can have a 4-hour work week. It is amazing what you can accomplish when you sit down and concentrate mentally and physically concentrate on what it is that's on your plate. I actually, I have the Scrum business and I'm an organizer. So I manage both of those very well, I think. But on my calendar, I have 2 hours for Scrum. This client is 4 hours for organizing, then my blog, and it is down to a science. I don't have there's maybe 15 minutes to take a break, grab something to drink, move forward, because here's my mindset is always, when I worked in corporate America, I worked my butt off for everybody else. And when I decided to start my own business, I decided that I would work as hard for myself as I did for anybody else. And, they gave me a paycheck that was consistent. It can be not so consistent. One week can be better than the others and when you own your own business. But it's still a matter of being in charge yourself. So take the time to actually put things on your calendar that matter. Put time on there. Put your family time on your calendar. And I always recommend that you use one calendar for everything. That way you don't have to worry about, I forgot about this recital and I booked this client, or I should be writing here. Don't let yourself down that way. Just have one calendar and work from that. And I believe it or not, I was paper and pencil calendar up until this year. I just started using a Google Calendar.
Wow, Linda.
Yeah, I've been pretty old school because I fought it because I was nervous about losing, what happened if my computer crashed.
Yeah.
That's my mentality, but it's on my phone and, my calendar's backed up and I have a great computer guy. So I feel like I don't have any worries about having that happen.
Well, welcome to the modern era, Linda.
I know, right? I know. But what the thing is, I work with so many people who still have physical paper.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And that's why I didn't want to get out of that mindset myself. But hey, it felt kind of good not spending the money on a physical paper calendar this year.
Yeah. Now, I like how you said to schedule everything, I think that's so important when you're trying to, I guess, plan out your week or plan out your day or plan out just, your goals and everything, kind of, because it all flows together, but I guess proportionally to the amount of time that you allot to that.
Right. And one of the key things there is, you schedule doctor's appointments, schedule school things, schedule, your appointments, schedule your blogging time, schedule it all out, because you'll find that I do have 2 hours to write this blog. It gives yourself permission to be successful.
Ooh, I love that. So Linda, Give me a list of some of your favorite organization tools, whether they be physical, whether they be apps. Like, what are some of the tools that people can use to start to get organized?
I love my Trello app, which is on my laptop and my phone. I even use that to organize my clients' clients. Seriously. Yeah, I have clients who have too many clients and they can't keep them organized. So I help them organize their clients. Some favorite app. There is a folder that is put out by Smead. I love the Smead products more than any other organizing products. I blogged for Smead for a while, and it is a folder that looks like a regular folder, but there's 3 different dividers inside. So it's one folder that you can sort out into 3 different sections. And Office Depot is the main company that carries Smead products. I also have fallen in love with I love to carry I carry one notebook around that's divided into different sections. I have one section for clients, one section for, I have it divided out, but I carry one notebook with everything in it. I'm a visual person, so I have to have everything out. I like to see things.
Awesome. All right, so we're going to come in for a landing here. So I'm going to pick your brain for a little while. We'll have a little fun. Sound good?
Sure.
All right, cool. So who are some writers or authors that you admire?
Let's see. Well, I have some authors that I've actually met that I love. Leslie Joselle, she is an ADD coach up in New York, and she has a calendar system that is specifically for ADD, people with ADD, and I use her tools a lot. I love Brian Tracy, and the Eat That Frog. I've used his analogies a lot with my clients. I love John Maxwell. Love reading his books and anything that's motivational. I'm trying to think. There was another one that I was reading. Anything like the Napoleon Hill. I love reading about, people with, believe it or not, most people have some level of ADD. So I enjoy reading about how to work with them to help keep their brain organized. But John Maxwell is probably the biggest one, and it's kind of hard. I don't really have, besides him, I really don't have any, a favorite. I read a variety. I don't like to leave anybody out.
And that's okay. So Linda, if you could be any literary character in any book you've ever read, who would it be?
I don't have an answer for that. Yeah, I'm just, I just read so many different things, and I really don't have an answer for that.
Okay, well, how about a superhero? Which superhero would you be?
What superhero would I be? Oh, geez. I would probably, I don't know, Superwoman's a little overrated. Because we shouldn't try to be Superwoman. Oh, gosh. Someone that's, let's see, what's the superhero that's like really, maybe Spider-Man? I don't know, where oh gosh.
All right, so which is your go-to book for business or professional development?
Oh gosh, Good to Great. Who wrote Good to Great? Oh, my brain just quit working. But the book Good to Great, where you could take your where you think you could take your business from being good to actually being, most businesses are good, but how to take your business into being great.
Okay.
And
Good.
Making that difference. I forget the author, but he's written lots of books. But that's for part of our Scrum training. That's a requirement for our trainers to get in the mindset of being good to great.
What's the best piece of advice you've been given about business?
You will make mistakes, learn from them, and then move on.
It's nice, simple, and practical.
Yes,
I like
because don't beat yourself up about them. If you knew everything in advance, life would be different, wouldn't it? For everything.
Oh, it sure would. I
Yeah,
know many times I've beaten myself up, and it's funny because when you get down on yourself, you start to lose time.
Mm-hmm. Exactly what I was talking about before. Just not my circus, not my monkey. Can't change it. Move on. But yeah, just know that you're going to make mistakes. It's okay. Learn from them and move on, and do not beat yourself up about it.
And Linda,
and find mentors. Find mentors like yourself. Find mentors that really are actively help you engage and will give you the advice that you need, and really, have your best interest at heart. Sometimes that's hard to do, because, it takes the right type of person, but find a good mentor.
Ooh, that's gold.
It is.
That's gold.
It is.
Now, Linda, how can our listeners connect with you?
Oh, well, there's lots of different ways because I love social media. They can connect with me on LinkedIn. Just look up Linda Clevenger, Linda M. Clevenger, M for Marie, on LinkedIn. I would love to connect with you there and, just find out more about you. And I'm also a LinkedIn certified profile writer too, so I can help you with your profile. And Facebook, Organization Direct has a Facebook page. Scrum Training Academy has a Facebook page. And the websites, there's scrumtrainingacademy.com and organizationdirect.com. My phone number is on both of those. Or, there's the old-fashioned way of email at linda@organizationdirect.com.
Awesome. So if our listeners want to talk more about Scrum and learn how to make that happen, you can teach them.
Absolutely. I would love to teach them how they can incorporate it into their business. Scrum Masters in particular are in demand, and it's a certification that can help your career, your business in so many different ways. And I even have a free Scrum Fundamentals course that I can send to you where you can just learn the very basics about it, and it costs you absolutely nothing. Just let me know and I'll be happy to send you the link and give you the information, and then we can talk from there.
Awesome. Thank you, Linda, for coming on today.
Oh, thanks, Chris. This was fun. Sorry I didn't have all the answers.
Oh, no, you had plenty of really awesome answers. You added a lot of value, which is what the purpose of the podcast is for. Wow, what an inspiring episode. If you weren't able to take notes, I've got you covered. Visit my website at www.chrisjonesinc.com/podcast to get today's show notes, as well as access other episodes you may have missed. Be sure to subscribe and rate the podcast on iTunes. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time.